oh my god, like, oh my god, for real, like, I am just, I cannot believe they did this in this episode. I am so pissed off. Like, I had a feeling. Actually, I didn't have a feeling. I was ultimately worried that they might try something like this, and I'm just, I'm just so, I'm so pissed about the events of this episode, folks. But we still gotta get through it, so let's get into my review of this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead. This is episode 4 from season 7, Breathe With Me. Now, in this episode here, besides what I'm just pissed off about, which I'm just gonna probably say it more times than none, Sarah is finally awake. She's with majority of the group, majority of the folks that we haven't seen thus far this season. And immediately she wakes up, she wants to know where her twin brother is, and that's her only objective. She has to get to Wendell, and everybody's trying to stop her because Dave feels like, I mean, it's dangerous outside, but period. But she doesn't care, and she's going to take her chances because that's her twin brother, and that's all she cares about. But in doing so, she encounters a dangerous survivor here. Well, that person happens to be Emil's brother, Josiah, who is out here looking for Morgan Jones. Sarah's looking for her brother. It's weird because they obviously can help each other here. I mean, Sarah obviously can find where Morgan's at. And in regards to finding her brother, Wendell, well, he has the ultimate tool in Rufus here, the Cadabra dog, who can smell the living and the dead. He can pick up all types of scents. Therefore, all she needs is a little something of his in order to send the dog on his way. So bada boom. But they make an agreement here, and they say, look, if I do this, then you give me him. And quite frankly, we know based on how Emil is or was that Josiah is pretty dangerous, you know, and from what we've seen of him thus far this season, you know, he's definitely out to kill Morgan, and that would be serving up Morgan on the platter, basically using it as collateral to find her brother. And quite frankly, she'll do it because she'll do anything for her brother. So that's, you know, that's kind of the predicament here. Now, a couple of things with that. We learned a lot about Josiah. First of all, his little shovel pitchfork thing that he has is pretty cool, and him swinging it around was some of the coolest moments this episode. But this episode actually gave us, on the contrary, everything that I said just a minute ago. They humanized him. They showed that he's really not such a bad person. We got to hear about his background, his relationship with his brother, some of the advice that he was giving Sarah throughout this episode, i.e. the title, Breathe With Me, which was really strong. And I thought Sarah's performance in this episode was really cultivating. And then, you know, even when he killed the dead, he gave them proper burials because he respected the living and the dead. And I think that's just a lot of reasons as to why he doesn't come off as a bad guy. And then ultimately, he may not even be a killer. So who knows what happens if he gets his hands on Morgan? Would he actually kill him? Like, what's his goal here? Because he doesn't give me that menacing, you know, killer that we're accustomed to, you know? So it's one to tell. It's hard to tell, you know, based on the things that we learn about him in this episode. But on that note too, we get a really cool showdown in this episode. A 1v1. It is a battle. And although the battle was short-lived, I appreciated it for the 30-40 seconds it was. It was going down. I wish we could have got a lot more, but it was epic. I was definitely digging it. But beyond that too, and as much as that was intense and whatnot, we also get this unlikely truce that I really didn't see coming from anywhere. So I'm still mind blown about that as well too. Like, oh, didn't predict that one, you know. But beyond that, there's other things kind of happening in this episode as well too. They encounter this other random creepy person who is taking the dead, the walkers, stripping them, and pretty much storing them like cattle, you know, putting them in stables and whatnot for whatever reason. And like, they do explain what he's up to with them, which I'm not going to reveal, but like, it is super like beyond that. Why are you doing this? Who's putting you up to this? You know what I mean? And that's, you know, one we're going to find out somewhere down the line here. By the way too, there's warheads still around, warheads that were shot that are still out here leaking radiation, which is problematic because you never know when you may run into them. Also, that's problematic because people may find that to be of use. And you having that means that you can weaponize them for whatever purposes it is. Creating super zombies, super walkers, or, I don't know, deterring people from coming within your zone. Who knows what it may be. But yes, there is still a lot of radiation still floating around right now. And by the way, the set location, it did look kind of cool because it had this Northern Lights look, but also looked kind of fake as well. But like, it's whatever. But like, I thought it was cool at moments, but also like kind of unreal at moments, you know? But another thing with this episode is I finally figured it out with Victor. Victor is... He's a very sneaky person. He's very egotistical. He's a narcissist. And while all that are bad adjectives to give him, his ultimate goal and his ultimate his ultimate pleasure right now is to be able to one up Morgan. Morgan, who is pseudo struggling, you know, we can call it what it is. He's still mad. He's barely getting by, but it's okay. Him and the baby and whatnot. But it's all about Strand trying to prove that he can put together a community better than Morgan. And if you think about what happened in season 6 when Morgan had his community and wanted to invite Strand in, and Strand was like, nah, we're good. I'm gonna go and do things my way. But now Strand has a location, bringing in people. He's basically recruiting people. Like whenever time somebody new arrives, it's almost like a draft where they're just like, either you can deal with that or I can give you all of this. And it's like, one more for Strand, and Strand points at Morgan. It's like, see, I got you, you know? And I think that's his whole goal. It's just to prove to Morgan that he has a better community than him. And that's right on par with his egotistical self. So it's weird. Like, it's not really Strand after Morgan for negative intent. It's really just his ego trying to say that I have a better place than yours. And that is something. Like, really making folks pick sides here when everybody should just be surviving. By the way, there's these hazmat boys out there with the black hazmat suits that is still trouble that you should be focusing on. And you're still out here trying to make sure that you can do better than Morgan. I don't know. But in regards to those hazmat suit people, I think we're going to learn a lot more about them because the conclusion of this episode, we do get some dialogue about what their objectives are. There are some names dropped, but ultimately we still have a big mystery as to what their goal is, because there is a few choice of words that is used here that makes it seem like they're in service of somebody and they're just the middleman here. And I don't know, but we have to see. But I can't wait for episode 5, folks. This is episode 4 review. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this. And stick around for more reviews from the Walking Dead universe real soon.